Welcome back to Legacy Builders. This is our second episode of our series that we're doing. And so we're just going to keep setting that foundation, and we're going to talk about and define legacy for you guys today. So,
hey everyone, how are we doing today?
Yes.
Madison to jump right in, so she wants to jump right in today.
Yeah. Well, I guess you can say hi. You can say hi.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Madison, for letting me say hi today, and greetings everybody. Thank you again for joining us today on Legacy Builders. So, yeah, like Madison said, we're excited. We're just super excited to keep on bringing this info to you, and laying a little bit of a foundation here on our first couple episodes, and bringing in some great guest speakers here in this first series. And so we got a good lineup here on our first series of episodes. So we're excited to deliver that to you. So we just wanted to take a few minutes here to kind of develop a little bit of foundation to kind of help you to understand where we're coming from when we're talking about legacy, and what legacy is, what legacy isn't. And we'll give a shout out to Madison's nice hat over here.
And my nice earrings
nice,
too.
Whoa, look at those.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice.
Yes. Also credit to me for us coordinating and everything.
Yeah, Madison's our coordinator. So she does some interior design work and organization. So the set and everything, even my shirt, she had to tell me to, hey, why don't you go get that other shirt on? So yes, ma'am. So it looks good. So yeah. We're all here to make it look good for you guys. So.
Yes. Yeah. Come with excellence, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we need some excellence. Yep.
Yes. But as if you guys can't tell, this first series is all about legacy. And so we're going to be talking about defining legacy. We'll talk about family legacy, how to build legacy, like start a family legacy. It's going to be all about legacy in this first couple months of stuff. So we thought it would be important to define it.
That's always good. Yeah. So what we did, this is brilliant. We actually went to the website and looked up Merriam-Webster's dictionary and Cambridge dictionary, and was like, what is legacy? We know what we want it to be, and I'll be darned if they didn't have a definition that matched. So Webster says something transmitted by or received from an ancestor or predecessor from the past. So I mean, that's a good example, because we're looking most of the time, legacy is passed on from, it's what are these things that are passed on from generations to generations. And so many times we get stuck in that generational rut. Mm-hmm. And these are the things that we want to say, okay, evaluate that. If it's, things are good, keep those things going. But if some things need to be changed, we're going to talk about that. We're saying, hey, let's make some changes. So legacy is either, good or bad, things that are passed on, from ancestors. And
it does get interesting too, generationally, if sometimes you just sit back and observe how so many different family members, or if you watch other families, they could be actually like pretty much at the same stage in different areas of their life. And so, yeah, sometimes it's just observing that factor, and you can see what he means when it's things passed down generationally to generationally, and how somebody has to come in and decide to make a difference and make a change with that. Otherwise, it'll keep looking the same.
Well, that's a lot of my story, which we will get into, not in this episode, but we'll get into again. I mean, yeah. I made some pretty drastic or life-changing, generational altering decisions in my life that's going to impact my next generations. And so those are things that we're going to talk about and just kind of share my stories. And I didn't grow up in a bad environment. That's not what I'm saying. But your ancestors can get you to a certain point. If you want to take it to another level, well, you have to make decisions, and you have to take things to another level. And that's what we're talking about. And sometimes some things do need to be changed. And we all don't grow up in a perfect environment. And so we want to make some little tweaks, and we'll get into even more on that later on. So again, just kind of defining legacy, here's another definition. So a situation that has developed as a result of past actions and decisions. So there's a lot of times one action, one decision in your family line can really elevate or put a really bad mark on the family legacy. And so those are things that that are important. So we want to make sure that, you know, we want to build something solid, and that you have a good feel proud of your you know, family legacy.
Yeah. And on the other hand, you can make a really good choice and really beneficial decision for generations to come as well. Like I would say your story, you made a very big decision to alter the course of where even our family ended up today, and is still moving. But yeah, those are all. Did we share all the definitions?
Oh, you got another one?
Did we say something that is part of your history or remains from an earlier time? That's another Cambridge definition.
Yeah. So like an example would be like the Greeks are known for literature.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that'd be, you know, like they're have a rich legacy of literature. And so that's what they're known for. So, you know, what are you going to be known for? And that's the whole thing. What do you want to be known for? What's your family's legacy going to be? What are you going to start? And again, if you don't want to do nothing, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We are going to talk about some things along these podcasts that are going to help you personally, individually, to do what you're doing. And we're going to be able to help you on a personal level. And we also know that we're going to be able to help you build legacy for those that want to build legacy. So
and for some people, it's just not knowing where exactly to start or how to take that first step. And so hopefully we can help direct you towards what we've done. And if that is something that you're looking for, then hopefully you can just follow in the footsteps we've already kind of worked on and laid, and yeah, just help people with that.
Yeah, and then share your story with us so we can learn and we can impact our legacy.
That's why we've got guest speakers coming on too, because we don't know everything. It's a learning process for us as well. So yeah, exciting to learn more from other people who have done great things as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So we do want to kind of also define and make sure, you know, in my mind or our mind, a distinction between a personal legacy and a family legacy. And so, you know, a lot of times I see, you know, individuals want to build their legacy. Nothing wrong with that. We're not saying that's bad. We're not saying it's good. We're just saying there's a difference between building a personal legacy and a family legacy. And you just got to decide what you want. You know, again, they're not good, they're not bad. Neither one of them is better than the other. We're just saying it's different. And what I do see is that, you know, a personal legacy is something a person comes and he or she is very impactful, inspiring, and they impact lives, absolutely. And on the other hand, they make bad decisions. There is negative legacy that individuals leave as well. But I'm specifically talking about the ones who really are, you know, on fire, making waves. But then something happens, they decide, hey, they're going to retire, they're done, maybe they pass away, and all the people that rallied around them, it's like that's gone, it fizzles out. And what has been left to carry on to the next generations? Where in the family legacy, this is where you start to build a team. You start to build, it's not all about one person. It's about the family. It's about the group, and how the name is going to impact society, or how the name is going to make a difference in people's lives, not just one person. And that's what I like. That's what I want to build, because it's not about me. I mean, Madison's got gifts and abilities, and she's going to impact a whole different group of people that I could ever impact. And if we can work together, we're going to be able to impact way more people than we would individually.
Yeah, it's really going back to that example that we did in our very first episode with the movies and the building blocks. Like personal legacy, you can still build so much, like you can still build really big and stuff. It just gets to a point where, like you said, if you pass away or something happens, it maybe just stops. And that's that it is what it is, and it was great. And while it lasted, where as family legacy, you have family who can keep building upon that. And so if you didn't get to see that in our first episode, I would really go back and just check that out, and because to visualize it is also really important.
Yeah,
to
it's
just
a
see
good
it.
visual.
Yeah, it is. It really is. But yeah, as we got talking, I also posed the question. I was like, oh, so there's definitely two paths of legacy. Like there can be a negative impact and a positive impact, right?
Right.
And so we just got into some good conversation about that as well. And you brought up a really good story with that. Do you want to share that?
Yeah, so maybe many of you may not know this. I didn't know it until I heard it from somebody teaching on this. But there's a man who he actually was the creator of dynamite. And one morning he woke up and he went and read the paper, and it was a French newspaper, and he had read the obituary. His brother had passed away, and he had went and read the newspaper and read the obituary, and the obituary headline said, "The merchant of death is dead." And just really, condemning this man out for creating dynamite, this tool of destruction. And so his legacy would forever be known as the merchant of death and destruction. Well, the newspaper got it wrong. They actually did not write the obituary on his brother. They wrote it about him. They made a mistake and they thought he died. And so he now got a glimpse of his future. He got a glimpse of what people were going to remember him by and what his legacy was going to be. And it impacted him so much that he decided to make a change. And this is the whole key right here. No matter where you're at in your life, you can make a change and you can start to do something different. And we got a great guest speaker going to come up to explain just that. And I'm excited to hear from them here. But so he decided to make a change and decided that he wanted to be known, instead of the merchant of death and destruction, he wanted to be known for peace. So Alfred Nobel put all of that money into the Nobel Peace Prize. And today you would never know that Alfred Nobel was the creator of dynamite and destruction. He's known for the Nobel Peace Prize. And so he altered his legacy, and he had a do-over. And so that's a great story. It is kind of on a extreme level, and most people aren't going to get a preview of what they're going to be known for and remembered after they're gone. But evaluate. I mean, just look at yourself. Just take a check on, what does your gut say? Is this all you've got? Is this the best that you've got for your life? Is there more for you? I would say really evaluate that. If the answer is yes, then let's make a change. Let's do something different. What's the definition of insanity?
It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Right. So we can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. It's not going to change. You have to make a change. You have to instead of going this way, you need to shift and go a different way.
And what I love about that story is that it proves that it's never too late to change. Like if you went down, like what was the title? What was the headline?
The Merchant of Death.
The Merchant of Death. To go from the Merchant of Death to peace, a Nobel Peace Prize, like that's a big shift. So it's never too late. You did not mess up too much where you can not change or the course of your path. And so that's what I really love about that story as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the whole point of that is, legacy, what you're known for, what you're going to be known for, the family name, again, this is a personal legacy, but I mean, it does impact the family name. But, we want to help, build a solid team, going forward. So one thing I want to mention, as we talk about, legacy is, let's identify a couple things that I'm saying legacy is not. Right? We're not in my opinion, this is my opinion, that legacy is not just an inheritance. We admire the people who save up. I mean, it's biblical. It's very honorable to pass on money from one generation to another, and it's a wise thing to do. And we do that. That's, I mean, I've got stuff in motion. We've got that in motion, but we're saying there's more to legacy than just a financial gift when you pass on. Okay, it's more than just money. So I want to train Madison before I pass, and so on how to handle the money.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're teaching her, we're building stuff together, but she's building stuff on her own, and I'm working on stuff, and when we get to the point where we pass on money, I have created legacy in her, so she will know what to do with that money. Okay, and so and that's a whole nother story on passing money or passing trusts and passing other stuff. So that's a whole nother level, a whole nother thing we're not going to get into. But the whole point is there's more. It's a mindset. It's what you're known for. It's the concepts, the belief systems, the what else? Traditions.
Yeah, the wisdom that you pour down. Yeah, I mean, it's a whole lot more than just money, but
right.
Even the financial wisdom, like you just said. I mean, parents, just a quick note, like your kids don't know how to deal with money, and if you're not going to teach them, the world will. So,
right. And the world wants it all.
Yeah, like there's plenty of ways to just give away the money.
Right. They're not going to teach them how to make more and save it and invest it. They got strategies to take it.
Yeah. And so like we'll go into financial stuff later as well, but it is very like to learn how to deal with money yourself, and then to also sit down and help your kids understand that from as young of an age as you can. Like for us, it started probably middle school, but yes, back to legacy.
Yeah.
That's a side note. We'll get into that later. I get too excited.
Right. It's easy to tangent because there's so much stuff, and as we're trying to build foundation, we want to jump in and we want to just but there's time. It takes a little patience. We'll get there. We'll start. We'll help you out in all different areas, and
just like the house, like that, because you're a contractor, and so you talk about its process.
Yes.
And you got to build the foundation first.
Very good point.
So.
Yes. So in building legacy, we're building a foundation. Everything that we do from here on, everything has to have a foundation. So when we build from here on up, at least we'll know what we're building on top of.
Yes. And so another thing legacy is when a person lives life and it all revolves around them.
Right.
Almost like a superstar, like not all of them, but when it only revolves around them and the legacy is often forgotten. I don't know if you have an example for that one or.
Well, I do have examples. I just hate, I don't want to use names at this point. I don't want to name drop, but I think everybody can visualize that, or has an example of somebody. There's plenty of athletes. Those easy ones, they're athletes who build, their legacy, if you will, but then they retire. And what was the legacy? It was about them. The team, they weren't known for, it wasn't about the team. It was about them. And, a one-man show, and everything else, everything revolves around them. And, if it doesn't, then they get mad and, they go take their skills somewhere else. The same thing that applies on a sports field applies in life. And, if they want to be the star of the show and the star of everything, well, it's just, that's not what we're talking about legacy. Yeah, okay, they built their success story. And there's a lot of accolades for that. Congratulations. We're not downplaying that. That takes a lot of hard work and it takes a lot of effort. We're just talking about, we're just average people. And we're talking to the masses. We're talking to the people, look, that we can be more powerful together than we can on our own. There are people who are gifted for that. But I just don't see that impacting generation to generation. their name is remembered, over and over, but the impact may not be there. So we want to get buy-in. We want to create, family. I have a choice. I can go off and build my own thing. I could spend, I'm very motivated. I'm a highly motivated person, but I see the big picture. I don't want to just spend my life making it about me. I want to make it about us. I want to make it about our family. I want to help build something that everybody has a part of, whoever wants to be a part of it. And that's the whole thing with the family legacy.
Yeah.
Is getting that buy-in.
Yeah. And I know too, you've been a part of just a lot of different organizations and leadership positions, and also just in our family. And when your dad passed away, you took on the leadership role of the family. So how do you create that buy-in from people? Or can you create it? Is it a person, what does that look like?
Yeah, and that's a really, really good question. I think there's multiple facets to it, but like in any organization, and even in our family, we could have got together in our family meetings, and I could have said, look, kids, this is what I decided our family's going to be. I'm the head of the household. You need to submit to me. And there's a lot of people that do this, guys, a lot of people. And but instead I said, hey guys, this is what I'm looking at. This is what I want to do. Do you guys want to do this together? And can we build this together? What do we make this look like? So when other people have input and when other people have their hands in it, that's what creates the buy-in. They create an excitement, because each one of us are created with an individual purpose, individual passions. So it can't be all about my personality type. It can't be all about my purpose, my passions, my areas of interest. It has to be about all of we got to be able to tailor this legacy to meet everybody's skill sets and desires and ambitions. Otherwise, they're going to go somewhere else. Yeah. So, and then that's what happens in organizations. If you don't, there's only so many times leaders will tell people their opinions and how they would like to see things happening, and then all of a sudden you might hear the magic word that said, look, you're here working for me, I don't work for you. Well, you just shot that leader. They're gone. They're gone.
So was there ever a shift? Did you ever try to be that person where you were like, submit to me, this is what we're doing, and is that how you figured out it didn't work? Or did you just observe other people and figure out that's how it didn't work?
Yeah, I would observe other people and figured out that's not how it worked. Because I mean, when a lot of times when you don't like to be treated a certain way, and that's pretty much a good sign that you shouldn't do that. Yeah. Because other people don't like that either. But I also had some really great teachers who really showed us, and some of the speakers that we have lined up are going to probably touch on that, because they were team focused. And it's better to give than it is to receive, and it's better to give into people's lives than to have them give into your life. And that's kind of the difference. And there is something to say about, I mean, there is a responsibility level of the person who's in charge. I mean, I don't take that for granted. I'm in charge. I mean, I have a huge weight. I have a huge responsibility that I have to carry, but that doesn't mean I get to dictate. There's different methods and different ways of going about it. There's tons of books out there that talk about this type of stuff. I mean, one of my favorite books is Good to Great, and specifically that there's a chapter on level 5 leadership. If you read that chapter, you'll understand my mindset. And level 5 leadership is exactly what I'm talking about, where you get the buy-in, and we can have high level discussions. I can have an environment where Madison can confront me and voice her objections, voice her opinions, give her input, whether we all agree on it or not. There's been times where I would bring my suggestion to the table, and none of my family wanted to do it, so we didn't do it. I didn't pull the I'm the husband card, I'm the head of the house card. I said, okay, well, fine. I was wrong. This obviously is not the route we should go, and we need to make a change.
Yeah, and that was also a learning process to understand, I mean, that it's not necessarily a bad thing coming to confront you. It's not a bad thing I mean, going head to head and everything, if it's in the best interest of the family,
Right.
then it can be a good thing. And so that was a conversation that we had to have.
Right.
But I have another question about buy-in as well. How do you deal with when people don't want to buy in? And like when you just sit back and you're like, if you want to, you want to, if you don't, you don't. Like, is there ever any like, man, people don't want to buy in, like I just keep trying and nobody wants to buy in? How do you deal with that?
Well, again, you just got to keep moving on and doing what you feel your purpose is, and timing is everything. And so a lot of times people aren't going to buy in because you might be the one that this is your third or fourth or 10th or 100th thing that you've tried, and now you want somebody to buy in. So, we got to have some consistency. And I mean, for me, there was a lot of things that I jumped around from this business opportunity to another one to another, and I just like, look, I just made a decision. I'm focused on 3 things now for the rest of my life, period. That's it. I'm building these 3 things and that's it. So now I'm focused, I'm honed in, and now I feel that people respect me more because I'm focused, because I do have that footing, and now it's easier to get buy-in because they see as soon as the struggle comes or opposition comes and they quit and they go off. Why would you want to buy into anything like that? When it's difficult or that things get tough, why would you want to? Why would I couldn't expect somebody to buy in if I just keep changing my mind and quitting. So I have to provide a level of consistency.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah.
Or whatever leader, whoever you are that are leading an organization, if you're not getting the buy-in, man, check your consistency. Check how you're treating other people. What's the number one saying that I have, Madison?
People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right.
Which I think came from somewhere else, but you said it so many times where it's like you've adopted
it's
it.
one of my life lessons, and it's a cliche. Some people make it a cliche,
But no, it's, and I just said it funny like that too. But it is actually like, I mean, the results of that when you go into a conversation, even like just really truly being curious about somebody and caring about them as a person, they will respect you so much more. And when you have something to pour into their life, like they're gonna listen.
Right.
And so,
well, the key to that statement is people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. So do you care? Absolutely, 100%. Do they know you care? That's the key, people. It isn't, we know you care, you love them, you care for them, but did you convey that? Is that what they think on their side? If you really ask them, hey, do you think I care? Then you might be shocked. Maybe you don't want to ask that question. If you're not ready for an honest answer, don't ask that question, because you might be shocked because they'll be like, no, I don't think you care. And then you're going to be shocked because you do care, but there's a disconnect somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. If people aren't coming, if they're not buying in, they don't think you care. That's the big thing. It's not that you don't care, because we know you do, but it's just not being communicated. That message is not being received. Whatever it is not being received from the other people. And again, that's buy-in. I think, I get, my family, I mean, you can ask them, they respect me. So I mean, not just my immediate family, extended family. So people, and
you show up for their events, you show up for them. I mean, part of showing that you care is really showing. It's the action part of it as well. It's not just saying it. Like a lot of times they don't care what you say as much as they care what you act upon.
Right.
Because some people just say things to just say it, and it doesn't have any meaning behind it. I don't know if you would agree with that, but
well, yeah, that's 100%. It's all about the relationship and legacy. It's not convenient. It's never convenient. It's never on your terms. Building legacy is not about people coming and rallying around to build your thing. If you want that, if you want the personal, again, there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of people doing that. What I'm talking about is how to build family legacy. And
this stuff is tough too. What
It
you're
is.
saying right now is tough to hear. I mean, but it's so necessary. And I remember us having like so many conversations about this. And even like going back to when you say it's not easy, like the amount of times I came to you, interrupted your game time, your time to rest, like stuff like that. And we went into a big conversation. Like this is hours of time
right,
on your end where you like paused what you're doing and like focused your attention on me too. That's how I know you care too,
right,
by the way. Like
Right.
if we're going back to people to like because of the action, like it's not you just being like, yeah, I care like about you, I'm proud of you, Madison, stuff like that. Like
yeah, to tell you all those things when it's easy to tell you all those things. and
Yeah,
it's
it's like-
convenient. That's not how it's built.
yeah.
It's built in the inconvenient times. And I'm pretty sure, I think this would be safe to say that even when you did come during those times, what was my attitude like most of the time? Was it good? Did I, all right, I guess, let's
No.
see.
I don't think I would have kept coming back if it was that.
Right.
I mean, yeah, no.
Well, and I say that because there's a lot of people trying to get buy-in, trying to build legacy, but when it's convenient and they're, somebody wants their attention, someone needs their time, it's now, really, I'm tired. Well, congratulations. I mean, you either want the leadership position or you don't. I mean, it's never convenient.
Right. There might have been in honesty like a couple times where you're like, hey Madison, like I'm going through a lot just because you're a business owner too. So you I mean
Right.
you go through a lot in a day where you're like, hey, can we just like give me a couple minutes or something? Because you can't always switch. Sometimes I'm really quick with it. I'm
Right.
like, hey, let's go into deep conversation right now. And you're like, okay, 1 second. Like, and so yeah, there was probably a couple times, but it's the majority of the times, no, it's not you being frustrated and stuff because people don't come back to that.
And if it wasn't a convenient time, I mean, I feel like I would communicate, like you said, I would communicate that,
Yes.
and then we would then readdress it, and then it's like, okay, I know
Yes.
this is important for you to want to talk about, so I just need to collect myself, and
that's it's all
there's a
about
way
that
to do-
communication too.
Yeah.
Just that makes people feel like, okay, you heard me, that I have an issue, you
Yep.
heard me, that I want to talk, and then you acted upon it and came back. And
Yep.
so those are all important things.
I didn't roll my eyes.
No.
So that's just all part of, being the leader, being, if you want buy-in, somebody has to start the legacy. Somebody has to start it. They have to initiate it, provoke it, and you gotta stick with it. That's just all there is. That's all there is to it. And I mean, through all those conversations, here we are. I'm sitting with my daughter doing a podcast for you all called Legacy Builders. This is awesome. I mean, this is what it's about.
Yeah. And going back to also what you said with consistency and sticking to one thing and how you were like, these 3 things for the rest of my life, that's what I'm going to focus on. What was so reassuring to me as somebody who's just entering their 20s is that you, I mean, just like within the last 5 years, really decided upon that. And I was like, man, it just felt like such a relief to not have to have my life together right now. Because so often with nowadays and social media and comparison, and I'm speaking to all the 20-somethings out there who I know you all think you have to have your life together right now, but you don't. And please speak into that as well, because I know we've had so many conversations about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's so difficult. I mean, who has their life together at 20 years old? I don't know. I mean, again, you may think you have it all together and want to have it all together and get everything figured out. And I mean, personality types have a lot to do with that too. But man, I mean, give yourself a break. I mean, just keep, and this is why I tell Madison, because yes, it was just, in my 40s where I finally figured out what I'm going to focus on for the rest of my life. And I wish it's not that I didn't do these things earlier. I just didn't focus on them earlier. I mean, I've been involved in real estate almost my whole life, but I just never focused on it. And we had some ups and downs in the real estate, and but I didn't stick to it. I tangent and then I would come back and tangent and come back, and now I'm just like, this is what I'm doing. It's it. Period. That's one of the things. Real estate's one of the things.
But you've been building that foundation in real estate for years and years. And that's what it takes, is what you've told. I mean, you've told me, and I've observed of other people who are successful. But yeah, I mean, you have to build a foundation first. And at 20 something years old, you may or may not have a foundation yet. And so just be okay with building that, and be okay with the small progress that you make.
Right. And that's, even again, all the more reason to start even thinking about legacy at this point. You just start to build something. If you're 20 something and your parents aren't into it yet, you know what? Just you figure out your legacy for right now. There's nobody else in your life. You're the one that's going to make the life altering change for your family. You're the one that's going to make the change and start a legacy for your family. The other family members may come along, they may not. But you know what? You're going to be happy because you're going to start to focus on something. If you don't focus on something, somebody else will get you to focus on their legacy. That's what this is all about. Legacy builders, build your legacy. Don't build somebody else's legacy. Build your legacy.
Because you were all created for a specific purpose right now that we need. Like, every one of us needs you to build your legacy.
Right.
Because it's not what somebody else has to offer. It's what you have to offer. And it's so unique to you. And yeah, I mean, that's right there is why family legacy is so important. And also with the family legacy, like those of you who may have a family legacy and are just hearing this, or not have a family and are just hearing this for the first time, like, the small progress, the small steps count. They really do. Just start building your foundation. Just start, like where you said, just start.
Right. And again, legacy, especially parents, I mean, to build for your kids, because it's concepts. If you have a spiritual background, to introduce this spiritual foundation to your family's life, the financial foundation, to your family's life. Every aspect in our life, your health, everybody has different opinions in all of these different areas. You have to figure out what it is for your family. And when you focus on that one thing and you build that one thing, your kids are going to start to hear that, and they're going to pay attention to that, and they're going to start building. Because if you don't help identify those things in their life, the rest of the world will. Mm-hmm. There's voices there. They're encountering these voices all the time,
and it's
every
so
day.
Much easier nowadays with social media.
Yeah.
You don't even know what voices they may have in their life. Like,
right.
That's the difference from when you were younger,
right,
and from me now. I mean, the voice, because you can just go onto Instagram and there's many different voices there.
Right. So it's all the more important to have some kind of foundation at home. Family time, talk about stuff, be open to talk about stuff. Start telling them what you believe, what your family believes, how to treat others respectfully. There's just so many things that this isn't left to the school teachers to teach. That's the tragedy of what's happening right now. We're leaving it to, not that there's bad, all teachers are bad, that's not what I'm saying, but the family has a responsibility to start to teach their kids life lessons.
That's not the school teacher's
It's not the school teachers. It's not your Sunday school teacher's responsibility either. It's not your pastor's responsibility or your church leader's responsibility, whatever you do. It's not their responsibility. You have to identify that for your family.
Yeah. And that's really what we're going to be talking about in the next couple episodes of our series is family legacy.
Yep.
And how to start a family legacy and how to build it. And we're going to give you just like what we did to start and how that's been working, what hasn't worked, what has worked. how to build that foundation, how to start small and keep going, all of that.
Yeah, we're gonna just let you in on who we are. We're gonna talk about our Made family legacy, and so we're gonna talk about. We're gonna bring on some of my uncles. Like Madison had mentioned. My dad had passed away about 4 or 5 years ago, and so I mean, definite impact on my life. There's a huge story there, but you're gonna have some fun. I'm gonna bring on my uncles, and we're gonna talk about the Made family legacy. I'm gonna bring on my cousins. We're gonna talk about the Made family legacy. So you're gonna hear how fun this has been, and and you're gonna hear how this isn't about agreeing on everything. We don't all agree on everything.
Man, you and your uncles have had some heated conversation.
Right. So I mean, right, but
But you love each other.
But we love each other. When we leave, we're family, and that's the whole thing about it. And we're gonna talk about it. My uncles are gonna, you're gonna wanna sit in on that episode. That's gonna be a fun one. Listen in on that when I have my uncles on. So
yes, that will. The Made love is so amazing and incredible to me.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for you guys to hear about it. Here's some of the traditions that have been introduced and how they've been introduced. Yeah. I can't wait.
So it'll be a lot of fun. So
yes.
Well, hopefully we did a good job kind of laying a foundation of what we believe legacy is, what it isn't, and kind of where we're going to go from here. So we are going to start honing in on topics, and we're going to start talking about our family legacy, and hopefully that will inspire you and give you some examples on what to do with your family. And I guess so. Anything?
No, we'll see you next time.
All right.
See you at the Get to Know the Mades.
Yep.
All right. Bye. Thank you guys so much for joining us today on the Legacy Builders podcast. Make sure to subscribe so you are notified when a new episode is posted. Now go out and take your first steps in building your family's legacy.